It's Thursday work filming in the middle of the day. Usually you see us at 9 o'clock at night, but tonight in the day we're on the streets of Sandton talking recycling. And how many of these things do you consume in a week or two? How many does your family consume? Perhaps the big 5-litre tubs every time your water provider cuts off water to your house, for example. We're using more and more plastic, and it's glutting up the world. You look at the oceans, for example, the activists will tell you that there are mountains of rubbish floating in the seas. I'm joined by a man called Steve Levitt. He's more interesting than the guy who wrote Freakonomics, I promise you that. He runs a recycling business in Johannesburg, and it's all about trying to prevent landfills from being filled up. How many of these things do we chuck away?
Heaven knows. We'll work out through our households. But Bruce, the fascinating thing is, I'm doing this because we have a business that consumes polymers. We manufacture packaging. We can never get enough of it, and we have to pay full price for it. So it was a natural extension for us to start looking around. And from my running days, I would run through the streets of Johannesburg. I'm sure you can identify with them.
Well, I've heard of runners.
Heard of runners. Lights out all the way, dark at 5:30 on a winter's morning. And suddenly there would be a huge noise coming down the road. You'd look behind, you can see nothing. Perhaps an aircraft's busy crashing. And one of these collectors will be sitting on the top of his trolley and having greatest fun going to the bottom of a hill.
I'll see if I can grab one just now, but one of these guys just now, because these guys go around suburban streets, they operate these low bed trolleys. There's a sponsorship program underway that have provided some of these trolleys as well, and they go through our rubbish bins in suburban South Africa and take out not only this stuff, but maybe if you could ever break a Fisher-Price toy, a broken kid's Fisher-Price toy, and all of the recyclable stuff. I suppose it goes to aluminium, it goes to paper, and ultimately to polymers as well.
Spot on. All of that gets collected, and if you get up early enough on your pick-it-up day, you'll find that they will come there first. They'll quietly go through the rubbish.
How has that evolved, though? Because
ask them. They've just evolved, and we don't look after them. And we ask them where they sleep. You'll find that they sleep on the roads, under bridges. They don't have a personality. We ignore them. We get upset. We hoot at them as we drive past.
But these are guys who are crucial to the recycling supply chain, because we're particularly bad in South Africa, maybe deliberately because we're creating opportunities, but I doubt that. We're just bad at recycling.
Funnily enough, we're not so bad in recycling our plastics, as it turns out. And the reason is we have a unique opportunity. These chaps are prepared to work, which the Europeans aren't prepared to work for, and the Americans aren't prepared to work. They're prepared to work for the equivalent of a day's collection, which they convert into cash at the end of the day through a collection center. And if you compare what they have collected, if they work 9 hours, if they work hard, it's very much on par with what industry pays for an unskilled laborer per hour.
Okay, I want to talk, you're interesting and all that sort of stuff. I wonder if my producer can nail, there's a guy coming down the road now. Let's see if we can grab him. I actually recognize this guy. He's from Lesotho. His name's Moketi. I've seen him around the streets before. Moketi, Emma. Ke batla bua le wena. Look one. Ke batla bua le wena. Dumela, okay. Jwale Moketi, o tswa ka nako mang?
Ke tswa ka 7 o'clock.
Ka 7 o'clock? Jwale o tsamaya ka haela batho. You fumane kaofela dintho tse e bokae ka mo?
Ke 150 ka mo.
So kaofela dintho tse pampiri le plastic e ke 150.
150 kaofela tsona.
E nka letsatsi nngwe o etsa di bokae?
Ka letsatsi ke na le ho etsa 150, ke na le ho etsa 200.
Okay. Ke thabile o bona.
Le nna ke thabela ho bona.
O tlo tsamaya ke batla o bontsha ha o tsamaya ka tseleng ka motokare ya hao.
Thank you.
So Moketi's on his way. Okay. I mean, basically what he said to me, he goes to bed at 8 o'clock at night, he gets up at 7 o'clock in the morning, is crucial to the recycling process. That trolley is worth about 150 to 200 rand, depending on what he gets into it on a daily basis. He might do 2 loads a day. See, I mean, guys like Moketi are absolutely crucial to this process. But a guy like that, he's working for 200, maybe if he's lucky on a good day, 400 bucks. Is he doing it solo?
No. He is likely to have, we would see them as people who sleep in the parks, homeless people. He will have them collecting packets of rubbish from the bins, and he will have an arrangement with them where he'll come along with their packet, they'll put it onto his trolley. That's how his trolley fills up. When he gets to the other side, to the depot, he will offload it, and he will make certain that he accounts to that homeless man for what was placed on
for his contribution.
Yeah.
So
it's a fantastic.
There's an ecosystem going on here that we're completely oblivious to.
Correct.
Okay, now you said it at the receiving end. How do I know that you're giving him a fair price?
He knows.
For a day's labour.
He knows.
How much choice does he have in terms of who he takes his plastic to?
Let me go to the end.
Okay.
The price is set by a SASL, and that would be for a virgin polymer. And let's say in South Africa it's 16 or 17 rand today. It'll be about $1.25 in the United States, about €1 in Europe, and that is the commodity price. So you work backwards from that. To sell recycled, you have to come in, let's say, 25% lower than the cost of virgin. That makes sense. The manufacturer blends a combination of virgin together with recycled at the lower price. Then you have to work out your cost of actual pelletizing. And that's the cost of labor, it's the cost of the rent, it's the cost of transport, the cost of electricity, which is big. What's left is enough for a sorter, who would typically get paid by the kilogram. And then you'll come down to a price of R2.50, R3.50, and for the best price, he had a lot of that in his trolley.
What did he have? What did he have that was good?
Foam. You would call it, we call it aerothin, you might call it packaging, you might call it bubble wrap. That we would happily pay R4 for. And we would add all those other costs on, and we would convert it, we would sell it at a margin to an industrialist who would blend it with the virgin. So the price is set, you might say, by the price of the virgin commodity.
Probably the greatest public service that these guys are doing is they're keeping this stuff out of the landfills. Because I can only imagine how big the landfills would be, because they're already taking up hectares and hectares of space in urban areas, if we weren't removing this stuff from the chain.
Interestingly, plastic doesn't appear to form a large component of the landfills. Construction materials do. That having been said, they manufacture, they collect, they provide the manufacturing opportunity, but they are unique. No one else does it. And
it's a blimmin' hard life, that's why.
Well, that's where I come in. Yeah. What we are trying to do at Polymer Waste, we're trying to open these depots in suburbs. We need our schools to have a small collection centre. We would equip it with a baling machine. We would equip it with people who sort it. Instead of them spending perhaps a quarter of their day walking up and along to Louis Botha Avenue, or into Doornfontein, or if they go up Jan Smuts, they'll go into Newtown, they could spend so long walking about 9 kilometers each trip. Instead of doing that,
it's not very
bring
efficient.
the centres closer to where they operate.
So instead of 2 trips a day, you can get in 3, maybe 4 trips a day, and incomes can rise on that sort of basis, on a volume basis.
Yeah.
How established are we in terms of recycling in South Africa? Because you take this, eventually this will end up in a pellet form that will probably be sent back to Nestle, whoever makes their bottles, and get reformed into yet another one.
We've got good statistics. We manufacture about 1.4 million tons a year.
Of PETs?
Of all the plastics.
Oh, okay.
Insignificant in world terms. I think world terms are about 280, 300 million tons. But as far as South Africa is concerned, on the continent, 1.4 million out of 2 million, and that includes the Middle East. So we're pretty significant here in terms of our contribution to manufacturing. Now some of that would be for agriculture. Agricultural farmers would lay large pipes and they would stay there maybe for 50 years. It's an infrastructure investment. So you've got to make some kind of adjustment for what we make to the tonnage which is consumed as a durable. We think it's about
I'm just watching Moketi take his chances in the traffic, but he's a real pro. And a lot of people would see a guy like him as a menace, but he really is a crucial part of our ecosystem. And there go a couple of other guys traveling in convoy.
Probably for the camera, but be that as it may.
This is spontaneous. We would never stage anything, Stephen. We would never stage anything.
What you have here is an opportunity to bring them out of the light. I'll just tell you a human story. The other day I asked one at our centre, "What is your name?" "Michael." "Where do you come from?" "Bulawayo." "Oh, are you a Matabele?" a smile broke out on his face. I was probably the first person who had asked him anything about him. Michael, do you have a cell phone? Because it's very important in what we are doing that we can communicate with them on SMS or some other means. I had one, but it was stolen 4 months ago. Michael, if I give you a cell phone, where will you keep it? Why won't it get stolen again? If you give me a cell phone, I will sleep with it here. And we're talking about basic people who just need an opportunity to be elevated, not only in life, elevate them in what they're capable of doing. There's no reason why they cannot be managers, owners of the sorting depots, and from there to single them out.
But we've seen SAB, for example, creating owner drivers of trucks, for example, and
Exactly.
as a great vehicle of empowerment. This is at a far smaller scale, but if suddenly you could empower people who have shown a propensity to work blimmin' hard, who've shown a resilience that I don't have under those sort of circumstances, people who will do what is required to survive. How do we get that? How do we get that? How do we get it started?
Well, it started already.
But is there an industry association that can help?
There's a hard-working Plastics SA Association. There's Polyco. Everyone is trying to do this. It needs the support of the housewives. The children in the household will tell you what you should be doing with your waste.
Absolutely.
But we don't do it. We have to sort it. We have to make certain that we have a relationship with a collection depot or with one of the collectors themselves. And on a certain day, they'll come to your home. And instead of them rummaging through the dustbins, let them collect it. We can do the job for them. And I'm talking about anything that you touch during the day. Your dry cleaning bag, a beautiful white, low-density polyethylene. You're talking about a sandwich that you might buy at the restaurant here and open it up and toss it away. In Europe, they advertise plastic equals money, and we don't do that here. So waste should be recovered, and there's your ideal opportunity. The domestic house owner should be depositing this, making their job easier, and there'll be all the more for them and others. There are 35,000 estimated to be working in plastics alone. There's, by some accounts, between 70,000 and 100,000 of these collectors collecting all of the other things that are in the dustbins. So, based on the fact that we are 25 or 30% of a collection factor compared to what we produce, we have a long way to go. And imagine if we can employ 100,000 of these, or 150,000.
You've opened my eyes, and one thing I like about my job best is that I learn stuff every day. Steven Levitt, thank you so much. Steven Levitt is in the recycling trade, but there is something else going on in the recycling trade as well. There's an ecosystem that you, until you started watching this, knew nothing about. I certainly didn't know anything about it. Guys like Moketi, who are surviving from hand to mouth on a daily basis, could be doing so much better if we, and I put myself in that category as well, were just a little bit more thoughtful about what we did with this and the other stuff we throw out on a weekly basis. Can you make their lives easier? Get them doing not 1 trip a day, but 2, maybe 3 trips a day. You can make a difference in the life of Moketi and 35,000 other people as well. That's been Tonight with Bruce Whitfield. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Steven Levitt as well. Good night and goodbye.